Greetings gamers, I'm Anto, and today we're going to be making a city for you to start your next D&D campaign in. Over the last few months we've been building the Homebrew world of Ashk, and we've uncovered a huge amount of information about the region. And today we're going to start getting ready for our very first game, and to do that we need to prepare the starting location that our players are going to be in, and that is going to be the city of Azim. Starting a campaign in a city is a great choice because it's totally possible to have enough content in a city to see your characters through their first maybe 5 or 6 levels. Typically, if you start your campaign in a small village or a small town, the players will quickly outgrow the threats to that area and move on. So starting in a city allows them to have a slower start where they spend more time in one location and get to know the area and the NPCs better. The city we're going to be working on today is Azim, the merchant capital of Ashk. I've chosen this city as our starting location for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's far enough away from the central conflict that the players won't feel forced to take part in it right away, but it can be there in the background and they can hear things that are going on with that central conflict, the war between the Parthian Empire and the free city-states of Ashk. Secondly, as a trade city, Azim is going to be quite diverse, which means it's feasible for the players to play as any race they want. I've already made a city map for Azim, which I did a couple of weeks ago, and you can check that out here. So here we are in OneNote, and you can see that I've already started the process of planning out the city of Azim. When I'm planning a city, I follow the same steps every time to get started. I always break down my section into information about the city, the map of the city, and then the citizens, all as 3 separate pages to make things easy to find. I also plan any adventures taking place in a location within that section. I've got a whole video talking about how I plan encounters in OneNote that I'll link up here. But as you can see in the main section, I've already started adding some titles to help me get an idea of the things I want to talk about, the core information to include about this city. So I've got headlines for the land, the city, the people, the leaders, the law, criminals and trade. Now the land will be talking about the general geography of the area, the city will be talking about what's interesting about the city itself, the people will be talking about the kinds of people you find, how diverse they are, if there's anything particularly interesting about citizens of this location. The leaders talk about how the area is ruled and governed. The law talks about how that rule is implemented, how the laws are upheld. The criminals uses the information from the rest of the planning to get a sense of what kind of major criminals you'd find in this location. And then finally, I usually use trade to get an idea of what sort of items the city is going to have. But as Azim is home to the Great Bazaar, we're going to touch a little bit on that there. So I'm going to go through each of these sections, fill them in, and then we'll come back and recap what sort of city we've got in Azim. So I've spent some time and I've filled in some of the basic information about our city. Azim sits on the banks of the river Tharion, which is taken from the Arabic for wealthy. And that river joins Lake Haya, which is taken from the Arabic for life, and the city sits on the point where the river meets the lake. The city is only a few hundred years old. This location is where traders would come together to exchange their goods, and over time a group of trading families decided to start erecting structures there and providing services for traders, shelter, food and the like, and over time it grew to a small town and then eventually was walled off to keep the traders safe. And as the years went on, eventually a stone wall was built around the entire area and the great city of Azim was born. Because the river Tharion is large enough for a ship to sail down, the city has 2 massive portcullis gates that can allow vessels in and out of the city, but can be raised or lowered should anyone need to defend the city or stop an illegal ship from entering or leaving. Because ships can travel the waterway within the city, all the bridges in the city are raisable so that ships can pass without destroying the bridges. Azim, as a merchant city, obviously has a large and diverse group of people within it, but almost everyone within the city can be broken down into several main categories. There is the Merchant Guild, the wealthy families that control the laws of the city and their relatives. And then there's the wealthy traders, the people that work in the bazaar, the people that own shops and different crafts people who provide services. Then there's the working class citizens who work for those wealthy traders, so people that work in taverns and bars, apprentice blacksmiths, all those sorts of people. Then there are the slaves that are owned by the more wealthy within the city, and the city has a large slave population because it is a bustling city filled with lots of jobs that need doing. And finally, the other group of people that you'll find in Azim are outside traders or outside visitors who've come to the city to visit the Great Bazaar and to trade and buy and sell goods. As I've already mentioned, the city is led by the Merchant Guild. This is a collection of old families descended from the people that originally started settling this area instead of it just being a common meeting spot. They decide on all the laws, they collect the taxes, and they provide the services that are available in the city. The laws of Azim are kept by the Tameen, which are a basically private army owned by the Merchant Guild. They're not there so much to protect the people of the city as they are to protect the guild's investment. So a lot of what they're concerned with is whether or not a crime impacts the bottom line of the guild. Among the Tameen, you also have the Din Amal, which are a cross between a detective and a debt collector. They are more specialized, more trained Tameen whose focus are really high profile crimes. So if there is an organized crime group in the city that are selling black market weapons, the Din Amal will investigate that, and it will be them responsible for that investigation. Or if you have a wealthy trader who hasn't paid their tithe to the guild and needs to be convinced, the Din Amal will go to them and they will make sure that that debt is recovered. Because of the nature of the city, because everything is paid to the guild, the biggest criminal element within Azim is going to be traders and merchants and people who are making money without paying their due to the guild. So organized crime families who are trading in illegal weapons or magic items, who are selling potions without a license, those kinds of people, people who are running unlicensed casinos or brothels or anything like that, they're going to be the number one criminal concern as far as the guild and the Tameen are concerned. And then finally, I've written a little bit about the Great Bazaar, the main attraction of Azim. If I click over to the map here, you can see that this whole area here is the Great Bazaar. It is a collection of hundreds of different stalls and tents and stands, different traders who have just thrown out a carpet and are selling things on the floor. It's a section of the city that is contained within the original palisade that was built to defend those wandering traders hundreds of years ago, and it now serves as its own distinct district within the city. And once you go in there, it's really easy to get lost among the just endless rows of traders and all the noise of people yelling out to try and grab passers-by attention to come and buy their wares. And that's all for this week, folks. We've got a rough idea of the high-level workings of Azim. Next week, we're going to be diving in and looking at the factions and the people of Azim. I've already done some work on this and I've got close to 100 individual NPCs. So including that in this video would make it far too long. But I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, hit that like button. If there's anything that you'd like to know about Azim, put it in the comments and I can cover it in next week's video. But until then, happy gaming. Thanks for watching. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for new content every single Friday. And if you want to keep watching, well, there's another couple videos for you to watch just over there. Happy gaming.